Take your mind into the wonderful world of physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual wellness. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kinetic Hour. Conversations with you and guests. With your host, Kenan Wesley Mason. That's me. All right, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Kinetic Hour. I am your host, Kenan Wesley Mason. Welcome one, welcome all, as we are well into the second week of the new year. And this is my first official show. I tried to do a couple of shows earlier in the week and last week, but had some technical difficulties since I'm streaming through a new streamline. Actually, I'm streaming through StreamYard. And also, I am simulcasting through StreamYard. So I'm simulcasting to Facebook, to LinkedIn, and to Instagram, all simultaneously. So it's a great thing to be able to get the show out to as many people as possible. So thank you all for tuning in, whether it's live here, one person or 100 people. I always say it doesn't matter, because the information will permeate, whether it's today, tomorrow, or 5 years from now. So thank you for tuning in, and happy belated New Year to all of you. As we are into the 9th day of the new year. I know many people have had New Year's resolutions, and some people may deviate from those resolutions. I stopped doing New Year's resolutions a long time ago, and I just look to just do things a little bit better every year than I did the previous year. And one of the things that I'm going to do more, I'm going to make a point to do so, is to read more. That's the one thing that I'm going to do more this year than I did last year and the previous year before that. Reading more. Right now, I'm reading a couple of books. One, The Power of Positive Thinking by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, and also How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Both of them are literary classics. I think one came out in the 40s and the other one came out in the 1960s. So they're classic, and they are always going to remain relevant for those that wish to make changes in their life journey. And those are just two examples of books that I'm in the middle of reading right now. So hopefully whatever you decide to do for the new year, just make it better. Just make it better. There's so much stuff going on right now. Oh gosh, it's almost like, where do I start? Actually, I'll start with myself. Right now, I'm on day 2 of my annual cleanse, my annual juice and smoothie cleanse. So right now, I'm drinking this. This is part of my workout drink here, because I had my workout today. I work out at least 5 days a week with my sister. And that's another thing that I'm going to do more of, is focusing on my health a little more, and focusing on my workout and my workout ethic. Just doing a little more. Just because I just like the feeling that cleaning my internal self gives me. So I do this annually. And right now I'm on day 2. The longest I've gone doing this type of cleanse or fast, if you will, it's more like a cleanse. I've gone 40 days and 40 nights. So I'm considering on whether I want to do that again. Drinking my juices and smoothies, homemade juice, whether it's apple juice or apple juice with cinnamon or carrot juice with barley grass, um, or just a mixture of certain juices that I like. And then my smoothies, of course. No solid food for at least the next couple of weeks. And that way I can give my physical body a break from digesting all the stuff that I have throughout the year. So this is something that I do annually, and I always feel great afterwards. And I encourage all of you to do something. I mean, the holidays just passed, so I know many, if not most of us, ate a lot of holiday food. So, and some of us are still eating leftovers, depending on how big the meal was for the family or respective families. So as we go into the new year, that's what I'm doing. And it's great. It's great. What else is going on? Actually, there's a few things that I want to talk about. Staying on the health front right now, as we see that we're in the winter season, which is typically cold and flu season. But now it's probably considered COVID season every winter now, because COVID is the new cold and flu. COVID is the new cold and flu. And for those of you that have been paying attention, there's a new, I can't say it's a pandemic. Some people are calling it a triple-demic. Triple-demic. A combination of the three: cold, flu, and COVID. And also what's being thrown out to us by the medical establishment is that there, as always, an inoculation just waiting in the wings for all of us. And now it's not just about where it comes from, whether it's Pfizer or Moderna or Johnson & Johnson, all of these companies that manufacture the almighty vaccine, because I can't say it the other way. Oh, I've had a few of my YouTube posts taken down because of talking about the inoculation in a way that's different or differs from the mainstream. So to the general public that may be watching this, just be cautious when the news, your local news channels and the local physicians that are on these news channels telling you and I that we must, the only way to combat this is to be vaccinated. That's the only way, according to standard medicine. I haven't taken any of those inoculations, or what people call jabs, and neither has anyone in my family, immediate or outside, for varying reasons. And we've had plenty of physicians, or we've interviewed plenty of physicians that will verify that the inoculation may not be the best choice to make yourself healthy as far as protecting yourself from viruses. I mean, viruses are everywhere. You know, can't get rid of viruses. They're everywhere. And viruses come from everyone. We're all a part of this ecosystem. No one is immune, and no one can get away from it. So the more that we keep telling the general public that we have to take some synthetic solution to make ourselves healthy, that's an insult. I've said it time and time again. It's an insult to the human body, to your human body that was born pure. It's an insult to my human body that was born pure to be thoroughly conditioned to believe that having a shot will protect you. History, especially over the last 3 years that we had this pandemic, more people are developing colds and flus because they had the shots or shot or multiple shots for some people. And they're still getting colds and flus and COVID more than once. So what is that telling us? Well, what it tells me is that the inoculation is not and will never be the answer for optimal health. It never has been, and it never will be. If anything, it's the total and equivalent opposite. Or at least that's what it appears to be, because the more and more people that I see that have taken the inoculation, whether it be 1 time or 3 times or 5 times over the last 3 to 4 years, those are the ones that typically have gotten more colds, more flus, more illness, more stomach aches, more headaches, and then COVID again, and then more headaches, and then more aches and pains, and then COVID again for the 3rd time. But we took the shots, and that's supposed to be the protector. At least that's what we were told for 3 years. And we see just the total opposite occurring. On another health front, on another health front, excuse me for that, we see that another medication that's being advertised is, again, taken off like wildfire. This product called Ozempic. And I think the other one starts with a W, Wachovia or something of that nature. But there's a couple, but the main one is called Ozempic. You know, Ozempic, that one. You know, they took it from an old pop song from back in the 80s. I could just imagine what their paychecks look like. Actually, I'm gonna have to look it up. I forgot the name of the group. But that slogan and the marketing tool that this company has used is genius. It's genius. Because the way marketing and advertising works is that you create a jingle that people will remember forever. And it'll be tattooed on their brain. Just like back in the day, we had a commercial about toilet tissue. Don't squeeze the Charmin, right? Mr. Whipple, for some of you that may remember back in the 80s and 90s. Don't squeeze the Charmin. But it gets so embedded in our brains that we feel like we have to go and see what this is all about. And it appears that many people, including celebrities, which have been the biggest influence, the celebrity influence. And because of the celebrity influence, many people in general society are turning to this drug, which was first marketed as a type 2 diabetic reliever, if you will. Type 2 diabetes, a remedy to manage type 2 diabetes. Not get rid of it altogether. Not get rid of it altogether. Not to be healed from it altogether. So when you go to the doctor again and they test your blood, you don't have any signs or symptoms of type 2 diabetes because your pancreas is functioning properly. The correct amount of insulin is being released from the pancreas to the cells so they can transform all the sugar that we have in our system and convert it into energy. Most people that have type 2 diabetes, they don't want to change their diet, change their way of thinking about food, change the way that they think about the people that they eat food with, and want to eat the same food that created their diabetic condition. Because diabetes just doesn't fall out the sky one day and chooses you. No, diabetes doesn't work. No illness works that way. An illness is just a malfunction because, you know, most of us don't know how to take care of ourselves internally. Internally, we'll do everything in our power to look great aesthetically on the outside. We have plastic surgery and butt lifts and eye lifts and cheekbone lifts, everything to make our outer self look spectacular. But when it comes to the internal self, we consume anything and everything that looks good and that tastes good. And we see the backlash, type 2 diabetes. And this drug, Ozempic, has been marketed or was marketed as a type 2 diabetes manager, type 2 diabetes manager. But now, years later, it's being marketed as a strictly weight loss drug. We see Oprah Winfrey advertising and say how well it works. Many other celebrities have admitted that they take this drug, not changing their diet, specifically, but no, we're just going to take this pill because generationally we've been thoroughly conditioned to believe in the magic pill. And this is the reason why we have the continuance of people that have emotional episodes, and then they get labeled as being bipolar and having borderline personality disorder and manic depression or chronic depression. And the belief is that the pill will remove or heal all of our emotional woes. But as we see, the more commercials that are advertised on television, obviously something's not working. If we have to still, after 25 years, or since I think 1996, when the pharmaceutical industry was allowed to advertise to the general public, right? You can thank William Jefferson Clinton for that one, because he's the one that made that law, that the pharmaceutical industry can advertise on television pharmaceutical drugs that you would otherwise have to physically go to a physician and get a prescription for, based on what the physician sees as your symptom. But now the general public can look at a commercial and go to their doctor and say, hey, I want this drug for my liver condition, or I want this drug for my heart condition, or I want this drug for my diabetic condition. Because the belief is that there is a such thing as the magic pill. From all of my holistic teachings, the only magic pill that I've come across is the placebo. And we all know, and it should be no secret by now, that the placebo really works. The placebo effect of taking a pill or a sugar pill, or in the case of COVID-19, when you see your favorite political figure go on television and say, oh, I'll take the shot in front of everybody. And they give the illusion that they're taking this shot full of stuff. Because most people have no earthly clue what's in the vaccine. Most people have no earthly clue what's in it, the ingredient list. Most people don't even ask. So just be cautious if those that are considering taking this drug for weight loss And they tell you in the commercials all of the potential effects that can and usually do occur based on the clinical trials before it was presented to the public. So when they run down all the quote side effects that may happen to you, they know this because of their clinical trials. So they know all the stuff that can happen to you. And it usually does. It takes a stretch of time before these effects take place. You may have weight loss. Yeah. But how does your body feel about that internally? When your body has to be put through all of these synthetic medications because we as a society are too lazy to do something different about our living habits, our dietary habits, our thinking habits, our feeling habits, our emotional habits. Now, we don't have time to look into that because we're too busy looking at all the other stuff in the world and all the other stuff on television, you know. And there's a drug commercial at every commercial break. Even in a streaming era, before you look at your live stream, usually there's a pharmaceutical commercial for some mental disorder or for some physical disorder. So for those of you that have been considering Ozempic as an example, just know that there are people that have already come forward to complain about after effects. The main one is stomach paralysis. And so just be cautious of that. I mean, diabetes, type 2 diabetes is probably one of the easiest conditions to heal. Once the individual is open to new information. Once we're open to new information, then hey, the entire pendulum starts to change. And diabetes or type 2 diabetes mellitus can be healed. It can within 3 to 6 months. And you can go to your doctor and have them test your blood again. And therefore, you can have the proof on paper that, yeah, I healed myself of type 2 diabetes. So just be aware of that for those that are considering taking any of these weight loss drugs, because that's what they are, drugs. And many, if not most people, become dependent on drugs because that's what drugs are designed for. So you can become addicted. You create an addiction for yourself or create a dependency for the drug because we don't want to take responsibility of why we got the diabetic condition in the first place, or why we developed heart disease, or how we created liver failure and liver psoriasis, right? We don't want to go into how all that occurred. We don't want to go into how our cancer developed, breast cancer. I just heard today that one of the news correspondents from CNN just announced that she has breast cancer. She was saying that how she's never smoked in her life and never done this and never done that. Smoking cigarettes or any type of smoking, even cannabis, breast cancer is created or developed through many different channels. And so I hope she comes out okay. I hope she does get the necessary healing remedies. But if she's going to go through the standard remedies that have been put on the table for us by allopathic medicine, chemical therapy, or what we call chemotherapy, synthetic radiation through a machine versus the sun radiation, burning or frying your insides, or allowing a radiologist to fry your insides. And then the third being purging through a surgical procedure, taking the cancer out without even addressing the root causes of why the cancer appeared in the first place. I've said this over and over again. So again, just be cautious. Just be cautious, because being healthy, it doesn't have to be difficult, and it doesn't have to take a long time. And some people have had diabetes and their diabetic conditions for 2 and 3 decades. Their heart troubles for 2 and 3 decades. That doesn't have to occur. So just be cautious of that for those that want change in their physical self. On the political front, things are actually, starting to heat up on the Republican side of the political parties, the two-party dictatorship, Republicans and Democrats, fighting amongst each other. But now we see more Republicans fighting amongst each other. Can't seem to get along. But we do see that the Donald, as he is in the middle of more court battles, whether it be in New York or whether it be in Georgia. I think he's in the state of Washington for another court case, or Washington, D.C., one of the two. We see that one candidate is actually kind of gaining traction. She's moving up. And I say she being one Nikki Haley, which Nikki is not her actual name. She actually has a name, which most people couldn't even pronounce. And if you can't pronounce her actual birth name, it's probably one of the reasons why she's running as Nikki Haley, because if she ran with her real birth name, it would probably be a turnoff to the general public and her followers, the people that are endorsing her. Nikki Haley, the one that couldn't answer a direct question about why the Civil War took place. I mean, this is the same woman whose father taught African American studies at a prestigious historic black college. HBCU. But she doesn't know the reason why the Civil War took place. So you mean to tell me, being the governor of South Carolina, you didn't know that the South wanted slavery to be a part of public policy for all the colonizing states that existed at that time during the Civil War? You didn't know that? The South wanted slavery to be a part of public policy so they can purchase and sell whoever they wanted to. People that look like me and my skin tone. As opposed to the North said, hey, you can come on up here. You can learn how to read and write and be educated. And you can be equal. Come on up here to the North. Come on up to Philadelphia. We'll take care of you. Come on up to Pennsylvania. The Commonwealth for the people. You can learn how to read and write and be educated. The South, on the other hand, they didn't want that. They wanted people that look like me to be as dumb as possible, uneducated as possible, unliterary as possible. But Nikki Haley didn't know that, or at least that's what she made it appear, that she didn't know why the Civil War existed and took place over a 4-year period.